All right, so I want to lead with something. We did something last week that I actually kind of tried to train myself not to do, but we did it anyway. And so I'm going to lead with this because it was a mistake. And I just want to start with this, okay? So pulling up on the screen, we showed this bar graph about the votes from 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024. And we talked about it. We didn't make any wild specific claims. We just noted that it looked a bit odd. Now, one thing that I didn't realize at the time, I knew Arizona was being real slow in counting votes. They'd only gotten up to 69%. Utah was somewhere around the same thing. But, that's like 13 people. And so what I didn't realize, because I didn't look into it and I didn't click around, is states like California and some other major states were also at like 50%. There's a lot of people in California, okay? So this shows that 2024, Kamala at like 65 and Trump at like 70 or something. Now, there has been more votes here. I need my stuff here. So here's 2020. This was Trump versus Biden. Biden ended up with just under 82 million. If I said 1,000, I meant million earlier. And Trump at about 74 million, right? So if you look at 2024, now more votes are in. Still not all of them, by the way, because everyone's so slow. But Kamala's at almost 72 million, not 65. She's at 72. And she's still probably going to get another like 2 million votes out of California, right? I'd say Trump's going to probably get like 1.5 out of California, and there'll be some other stuff. So she'll end up at like maybe 74 million. He'll be at like maybe 77 million, something like that. So, when you look at it, bloop, I made a spreadsheet. Well, I pulled this off of Wikipedia too.
All right.
Yeah, and so Wikipedia is estimating the totals here for 2024, and their estimates are a little different than mine. So, whatever. But if you just look at the history here, voter turnout altogether, it dropped by less than 2% from 2020 to 2024. It's a bit interesting in that the eligible voters increased by 4 million. So there's 4 million more people who could vote, and there was 3 million fewer people that did vote, right? It's not the only time. In 2012, which was Obama and Romney, that one dropped 1.73%. In 96, dropped almost 8%. So you see, there's times that the total turnout has dropped compared to an election prior. And as far as big jumps go, I made some notes here. Bush versus Kerry, he added 12 million votes compared to 4 years prior, and Kerry added 8.5 million to Gore's total. So both of them made big jumps that time. And then when it was McCain-Obama, Obama obviously got more votes than Kerry, but McCain got 2 million fewer than Bush got. So, he got 2 million fewer. Kamala is getting probably somewhere around 8 million fewer. Then again, like if you look at 2020 compared to... where am I? Oh, yeah, compared to Trump versus Hillary, Trump got 11 million more votes than he got against Hillary, and Biden got 15.5 million more than Hillary. Now, I still find that a bit suspect, but you can see there's other years, like when Bush versus Kerry, the total voter turnout went up by over 15%. So it's big. It's big, but, the other thing to remember about the Trump-Biden year, outside of things like actual malfeasance of suitcases of ballots and stuff, is this is when everyone was locked down, and so all these states, especially blue states, mailed a mail-in ballot to every single voter. So if you were home and you weren't allowed to go anywhere because you're in a blue state and you were locked down, you probably fill out that ballot, and then you just got to stick it in your mailbox or wait for someone to come by to collect it, which they were definitely doing. Those harvesters were going around, oh, have you voted? Why don't you vote right now? Do you need help voting? Like, let's go. And so, I think a good portion of that increase was, I'd say, outside the rules of common election. It was according to state rules for that election during an emergency, not technically illegal, but later determined to not be constitutional. So no one broke the law to get that done necessarily on an individual level, but the state government did violate the Constitution in passing those laws. So, a little caveat in there. It was one of those things where one of those red meat kind of just fun. You see something, you go, ho, 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 and I try to train myself that anytime I see something that makes me feel like that, I go, I'm not biting on this. Let's look into it more. I didn't do it. I was clicking through, adding stuff. I just saw that kind of towards the end. I'm like, I just threw it in there. And our conversation took us that way. But to be clear, this the poll, we don't need to pull it back up, but the poll that had Kamala at 65, that's probably around 10 million shy of where she'll end up. And even Trump's going to end up whatever it was. He had it at 70. I think he's going to be pushing 80, And so both the numbers are going to go up, and the bar graphs, although lower, it's going to be a lot less extreme, of course, unless you do the bar graphs in a way to make them look extreme. So that was us. That was me. That was we jumped on it. We shouldn't have jumped on it. It's what I try not to do. I did it, and of course it bit me in the butt. So unlike, I don't know, say an ABC journalist who is moderating a debate, if we get something just totally wrong like that, we'll try to lead with it. And I wouldn't say it's totally wrong. It was just, I don't know, whatever. It was wrong. We jumped the gun, Charlie. What do you have to say for yourself?
Well, you're controlling the show.
Damn. Thrown under the bus. If you enjoyed that segment from the Loaded Talk podcast, please click below for the full episode and consider liking and subscribing. As always, you can go to loadedtalk.com to follow all things Loaded Talk.